Hello and welcome to another tutorial, this time about ducking. So ducking is a method to make specific sounds a bit more audible, a bit more clear in a mix by lowering the volume or filtering the audio of other sounds. I'm going to show you an example of how I use that in Oddsparks. So when the sounds for accepting a quest came in, all the other sounds, the music, the ambience got lower in volume. And I'm going to show you how this is done in Unreal. Quick note, this is not the original Oddsparks project. This is just a private test project. So there are two methods to do this kind of effect. First, I'm going to show you how to do this with a passive sound mix modifier, which is quite handy because you don't require any kind of code for that. So what you can see here is all the sound classes we have in the game. And sound classes are, if you're familiar with DAWs, basically like buses. So we have the master bus here, and then we have a bus for all the ambiences, music, sound effects. You can just add them here by dragging this out and giving this a name, and then you can assign a sound class to each sound. And there are a couple of reasons why you should have sound classes. First is you might have an audio options menu where you want to be able to control the volume of specific groups of sounds. So for instance, if you want to lower or increase the volume of all the sound effects in the game, then you would need this sound class and need to assign this to all your sound effects in the game, and then all of these sound effects would be affected by the value change in the audio options menu. Another reason is that it just gives you a lot of control over entire groups of sounds by just selecting the sound class and tweaking values here, like tweaking the volume, so you don't have to go into each sound cue or each meta sound for a specific group to tweak it. You can just tweak the entire sound class. And then of course you can do handy things like the ducking. Oh, about ducking, I created this sound class here, which is called quest sounds, and I assigned this to this quest sound here. And then when we go here to the left, we can click this little arrow here and we can assign a sound mix, which I already did here. And we open that, you can see that I already assigned some stuff here. You can just assign stuff by adding element here. So whenever a quest sound is called, so anything I assigned in this quest sound class, this whole thing will be called and will be affected by all these value changes. So music and ambiences, volume will be changed to 0.3, only frequencies until 500 Hertz will be audible. I could theoretically also do some pitch shifting, for instance, which I actually did in Oddsparks for when the player gets damaged. And if you want to control how long this effect goes, we can do this here at the bottom. Right now it's set to -1, which means it would go on forever, which we don't want. I'm just going to change this to 1.5 seconds. And then we can also control the fade in time, fade out time, and if we want some initial delay. So the other method of doing this is by doing this actively, which means using nodes in blueprint scripts to set the precise point where you want the sound mix modifier to start and to stop. For starting it, we use the push sound mix modifier node. And for stopping, we use a pop sound mix modifier. And the only other thing we need to do here is assign the proper sound mix modifier, which is the same sound mix modifier we used here. But obviously then we don't need to care about the duration. So we can just leave this to -1 because we control how long this will go by setting the proper points in our blueprint script where we want to start and stop it. And this is a really cool alternative way to do this when we want this to be in a more precise way. So the sound mix modifier might be sufficient in many applications, but it's nice to have the option to also control this when you have like very specific events in your game where you want to start or stop this. So thanks for watching and see you in the next one.